When it comes to the curious case of alleged kidnap victim Joshua Boyle, I hate to say I told you so. Well, actually, scratch that. I'd love to say I told you so. So you know what, folks? I told you so. You may recall that bizarre story that broke back in October about the plight of Canadian Joshua Boyle and his American wife, Caitlin Coleman. Joshua and his extremely pregnant wife went for a backpacking trip to Afghanistan some 5 years ago. Hey, who wouldn't want to go on a vacation to one of the most upside-down, gunned-up regimes in the world? How romantic. Alas, the Taliban allegedly kidnapped the couple and allegedly held them captive for 5 years. I say allegedly because, quite frankly, I think Joshua and Caitlin have severe credibility issues. The first thing to stink about this story was that while held captive, the couple were allowed conjugal visits, which gave the opportunity to produce 3 children. Hey, why not? Who wouldn't want to raise a family while being held captive in a third world regime in which the rule of law is barely existent? And who knew that the Taliban were such compassionate captors? In any event, their captors eventually moved the family into Pakistan, and at the insistence of the US government, the Pakistani military conducted a raid to rescue the family, assuming they needed to be or wanted to be rescued, that is. But in the aftermath, so many unanswered questions lingered. And as I lamented in this space back in October, don't expect most of the mainstream media to do any investigative journalism on this case for fear of coming across as being, oh, I don't know, culturally insensitive. So it was that this story was almost played up as a feel-good movie of the week drama about how a young North American family was rescued from the clutches of an evil terrorist group and whisked back home to safety. But from the get-go, almost nothing added up, such as how would kidnap victims be allowed to raise a family in the first place? And look at this. It seems that Boyle's ex-wife is none other than Zainab Khater. Yes, that Zainab, the sister of former terrorist and current multimillionaire Omar Khater. And get this, during their marriage, when Zainab was saying that the 9/11 terrorist attacks were justified, Joshua was quick to defend her remarks. It's also disturbing. Yet, incomprehensibly, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau arranged a photo op with Boyle and family last month. What, pray tell, was that meeting about? Well, mind your own business, folks. The Prime Minister's office says no details will be released due to privacy considerations and respect for the family. And our PM wonders why so many refer to him as Jihadi Justin. But earlier this week, a bombshell dropped. Boyle was arrested and charged with 15 criminal acts. And we're talking serious stuff here, folks, such as 8 counts of assault, 2 counts of sexual assault, 2 counts of unlawful confinement, 1 count of uttering threats, 1 count of public mischief, and 1 count of administering a nauseous thing. While there's a publication ban in place for so many of the details, Boyle's lawyer issued the following statement, quote, "Mr. Boyle is presumed innocent. He's never been in trouble before. No evidence has been provided yet, which is typical at this early stage," end quote. Now, while Boyle must indeed be presumed innocent until proven guilty, nevertheless, perhaps now is a good time for those in the mainstream media to ask some really tough, albeit uncomfortable questions about this odd couple, such as maybe Joshua and Caitlin were never kidnapped in the first place, but rather were hopeful of actually joining the Taliban? And what in the world would motivate the Prime Minister to meet with someone who has a soft spot in his heart for Islamist terrorists in the first place? And if Boyle is found not guilty, gee, how many millions does he stand to receive in taxpayer-funded compensation for having his feelings hurt? This story stinks worse than a dead skunk trapped in an outhouse, and methinks it's only going to get increasingly malodorous in the weeks ahead. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Like what you just saw? Then become a premium member and never miss another Rebel video.